Let's bring in the host of the new Once Upon a Crime in Hollywood podcast, class action attorney Kelly Hyman and former Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Thank you both for coming on. We appreciate it. Speaking of migrant crime, to you first, Kelly, a legal immigrant in Washington state admitted that he was drinking, smoking pot. He hit and killed a state trooper, Christopher Gadd, up there. I mean, he'd had run-ins with the law before, clearly should not have been in this country. And here we go again, Kelly, on and on this thing goes.
This is a horrible story. Here we have an officer, obligation to protect, to serve, and he dies in such a horrific manner. But it's important to remember, in a court of law, he's been charged with the crime, but you are innocent until you're proven guilty by a jury. So ultimately, the jury, is based on the facts and evidence, is going to make a determination on whether he's guilty of these crimes.
Yeah, that's exactly true. I want to look at the terror watch list number, Sheriff, because I just looked at these and you think, is that right? Is that number right? Put these up on the screen. Terror watch list encounters. Under President Trump, there were 11. Under President Biden, so far, there have been 341. We don't know who these people are when they come in by the millions, and you think, if you look at that number, you have to think in your heart of hearts something's going to happen at some point in time.
I mean, that's just a massive influx. It's just unparalleled, I think, in U.S. history. And just think, that's what we know and what they're claiming. What do we not know? To borrow the famous phrase from Rumsfeld, the unknown unknowns.
Right, yeah.
And that should keep you awake at night.
Yeah, it really is. And you go now to Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, because she's just announced that they're going to be using 750 National Guard. They're going to use them in the trains and transit stations to kind of go through people's bags to make sure you're not bringing anything nefarious onto the train. Here is the governor. Watch.
Anyone looking to do harm or spread fear on our subways, you will be caught. Plain and simple. There will be consequences. This has to end.
If there were consequences, Kelly, there would be people in jail who commit these crimes. Instead, they're not in jail, right? They're not in jail, and they're committing these crimes. And so now, if you ride the train like I did in New York for years and years, you have to give up some of your freedoms because you have to stop and get your bag checked every time you go on there. It's not the way that the system should be set up.
Well, people need to be accountable for their actions, and so no one should be above the law, no matter who you are or what you are. So I think it's important to remember that, but also think about the fact when we go on airplanes as well, we do have our bags checked as well for the safety and the security of other people as well. And so people want to make sure when they're going on a train that they're safe, and also to have cameras for the conductors so that they don't get harmed as well. It's important to have safety for the people.
It's also important to have freedoms, and when you're having to go through safety checks just because that there are so many criminals on board these subways and buses and trains in New York City, and you can't handle the mass of criminals, it tends to be a problem when you're talking about public freedoms versus public safety. The people should just be in jail. Finally, a Georgetown Safeway. I'll just put this up. Look at these videos. This was taken by the husband of a producer who went to this store, and everywhere you go, these things are behind gates. There's some wire. They're locked up in cabinets. This is a grocery store, Sheriff, and they have to walk people through and get them the items that they want. It's unbelievable. It's like watching a Mad Max movie in real time.
No, it is. And you compare that with the thing about the subways. It's all about the consequences of no consequences. And now with retail theft just going out, through the roof, corporate America, how much money are they spending on all this instead of just going back to the old-fashioned, hey, how about arresting a shoplifter? And they face consequences in the criminal justice system. But they've eliminated that because apparently they're going to harm people or they're offended by it.
Yeah, it's just not right to put people in prison. Sheriff, Kelly, thank you so much.